Well, Mayor Young, thanks so much for being with us on ABC24 this week. We appreciate it. Congratulations on getting that first budget under your belt. When it comes to budgets, you know, they've been described to me in the past as it's pretty ugly how the sausage gets made. Would you agree with that statement?
I don't know if I'll call it ugly, but it's challenging. I mean, you know, it's a difficult process. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made, a lot of give and take, a lot of personalities, but we work through it, and I believe for the benefit of this community.
Now, I'm going to guess here that when you asked for the 75-cent increase in the property tax rate, you were aiming high, knowing that you might not get that full amount. You got the 49 cents. Is that enough to make the difference that you hope to make and deliver the things you've promised to taxpayers?
I think it'll be enough for us to make a difference. You know, when I asked for 75 cents, my goal is to create maximum return for the people of our community. If you recall, there was about $20 million worth of investment that was going to be put into eliminating blight, investing in our young people, about $5 million from MATA. We stripped that down to about $5 million that's going to be focused on blight remediation as well as support for some of our young people, and we're going to deal with MATA separately. And so I think that there will be enough for us to deliver additional value. The last thing I wanted to do was raise taxes for people of this community and then not give them anything on top of that. We can't have them make an additional investment and keep services at the level that they are today.
When did it hit you that you were going to have to ask for a tax increase? Because I know that's something politicians, generally speaking, they do not like to do.
I think it was actually Good Friday. I don't know what date Good Friday was, but that was the day that I came in and had a 3-hour meeting with our CFO and our COO and went through it. And I asked a ton of questions. This is after we had already asked every division to cut by 10%. And we still had a hole of about $53 million. And when you have a hole that large, you know, you can cut around the edges, but at the end of the day, I knew that I was going to have to proactively ask the community to make a greater investment.
There were also these surprises that came up along the way. The fire department needing $10 million, the police overtime on the day pretty much that the budget was passed, the money, a couple million for FedEx Forum, I believe. How did that complicate things for you as you were trying to sew everything up?
Well, it definitely complicates from the perspective of gaining the trust of council and making them feel like they are informed. And I understand that things came somewhat as a last minute to them. And so, you know, it was challenging in that way. But in many ways, it was indicative of the reason that we needed to increase taxes. The issue that happened with the police department wasn't because it was not budgeted. It was because we had overestimated how much attrition we would have, which is essentially the level of vacancies and things of that nature. And so, you know, we had an issue from our budgeting perspective, and we went to council with solutions. And my goal is to own everything that happens in this next budget and ensure that we execute for the residents of our city.
The council members that I've talked to, at least publicly, and the other comments I've seen, they don't blame you, though, for some of those million-dollar surprises. They blame the previous administration. In fact, Councilmember Carlisle saying that the prior administration manipulated the budget, and we need to find out how, basically calling for an investigation. What are your thoughts about how you learned about some of this, and how much of it do you blame on the prior administration?
I mean, I don't blame anything on anybody. We are where we are. The previous administration had some federal funds that were able to get us through for the past 3 or 4 years since COVID. And now we're at a point where we have to make tough decisions, and we own everything that's happening right now. And so my goal is to make sure that we don't spend too much time focused on the past, and we spend all of our energy focused on what are we going to do to move Memphis forward right now.
One number that came out in this whole process that really surprised me, to be honest with you, is $44 million in police overtime in 1 year. You divide that by roughly a complement of 2,000 officers, that's $22,000 for the average police officer in overtime. That seems extremely high.
Well, it's indicative of the need that's in our community. We have a very, very large geography in Memphis with 310 square miles, which is like 3 times bigger than Boston. And you think about all of the needs that we have around public safety, you understand why our officers are working more and having to do overtime. And so certainly it's something we're going to explore, but we do understand that there's a lot of need out there when we don't have the number of officers that we need.
We did a Let's Talk 24 town hall meeting in Whitehaven last week, Mayor, and I asked for a show of hands of the dozens of people who showed up about what they thought about the tax increase. And almost to a person, they said they could get behind it if there will be some concrete things to show for the extra money. What can you tell those folks tonight that they can look to? You pick the parameter in terms of time, next year or 2 years from now, where they'll be able to see some actual examples of improvements due to those increased funds.
That live around you.
Well, the sentiment that you heard in Whitehaven is the exact same sentiment that I hear everywhere I go, that people are willing to pay more if they know it's going to result in value added. And my goal is to ensure that this administration is delivering results. And so over the next year, you're going to see more people out cleaning up on the streets, picking up trash, cutting vacant lots. You're going to see us being very aggressive in making sure that we're holding property owners accountable, the ones that are contributing to our community, not looking its best. You're going to see us investing more in public safety. You're going to see cameras, and you're going to see our officers working hard. And my goal is to change the sentiments of Memphis right now. I know how people feel. I know everybody's concerned, and we want to get different results. How long it's going to take is hard for me to say, but over the next year or two, my hope is that people feel dramatically different.
One more budget question for you. I got to ask you about the more hands-on role by some, at least on City Council, wanting to get involved in actual salaries of people that you've hired or appointed, including the $35,000 pay cut for the police chief, which you have publicly said you weren't a big fan of how that all unfolded. What are your thoughts? Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, I just think it's too far into the lane of the administration. Certainly, they have the purview as per the documents that founded our city. But I think that should be something that's under the purview of the administration. They made the decision to do it, and we're going to abide by it.
Do you have a timeline for when you hope Police Chief Davis, interim Police Chief Davis, will become permanent police chief?
That's really up to City Council. They have, the item was tabled, and so they have to bring it back. I publicly stated that I want her to be the permanent, but we're not focused on it. We're just working. And so we're going to continue to do all that we can to make our city safe. They've been doing some amazing things with Operation Code Zero and some of the things that they've been doing around public safety, and we're going to keep working to get progress.
Something that you're not directly involved in, but it directly affects Memphis, is this very public spat between Shelby County DA Steve Mulroy and State Senator Brent Taylor, as well as some other state Republicans. And they're all debating over Memphis crime and how to handle Memphis crime, which is under your control. What are your thoughts about this very public display going on between them, and have you taken any sides?
I'm definitely not taking sides. I think it's indicative of the frustration of our public right now. People are frustrated, and they want to figure out, what do we need to do to keep the right people behind bars and make our community safer? And there's a lot of frustration behind it. I've worked closely with both, Brent Taylor at the state and other legislators that are there, as well as DA Mulroy. Literally, I just left a meeting with him and a couple of judges a few moments ago. So the things that they're looking to achieve, I'm looking to achieve. And so, I'm going to keep working and making sure that MPD is doing what we're supposed to do to arrest the bad guys.
Do you think both sides have a point in the fact that there are some inequities and have been going back years and years in terms of how justice is administered? And then on the other hand, you have this issue with the revolving door and people getting out after committing very serious crimes and committing crimes again?
Absolutely. Both things are true. And, we want to make sure the ones that are committing the crimes and terrorizing our community are kept behind bars. And we also have some people that have been victims of the criminal justice system. And so I definitely understand that right now, I think the biggest frustration is around making sure that we get the ones off the street that are supposed to be off the street, and those that have continuously victimized people in our city are held behind bars.
All right, Mayor, that's all the time I'm going to take from you today. I do appreciate you talking with us about the budget, and you got a year's rest now before you have to worry about another one.
No, I won't take that much time. We're gonna be ready. We're ready to get to work for the citizens now. Now it's time to execute.
All right, very good. Looking forward to talking to you again. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor Young, I'll just go out on the table here, just your quick reaction, and we'll talk more about the budget when we come back after the break. Otis?
My quick reaction is he's learning how to be a politician. He's learning how to answer questions without really answering questions. And I think that was apparent with a couple of them. We'll get into more details about that.
Okay, Sam?
First, good questions, and he obviously was not going to take a side in the Mulroy versus Taylor debate. I think he has feelings probably about both sides, and keep in mind his administration is subpoenaing the communications of Steve Mulroy with Tyre Nichols' lawyers.
Right, there's that whole element for sure.
Yeah, right.
Mark?
I think Paul Young is very genuine. I think he believes what he's saying, and I think he's going to work really hard to accomplish his goals.
Well, the taxpayers are watching for sure, and he knows that. I think he does have a grasp on that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the city budget and what happened and what didn't happen in just a moment.